July 15th, 2026. Argentina defeats England 2-1 in a dramatic FIFA World Cup semifinal. But seconds after the final whistle, the football took a backseat. As the celebrations began, several Argentine players raised a banner reading "Las Malvinas son Argentinas," the Argentine slogan asserting the country's claim over the Falkland Islands. The moment instantly ignited worldwide controversy and prompted FIFA to review whether the display breached its rules prohibiting political messages during official matches. Why did one banner spark global headlines? And how does a remote group of islands continue to shape one of football's fiercest rivalries? This is the untold story behind Argentina, England, and the Falklands. Imagine a remote group of windswept islands in the South Atlantic Ocean. Fewer than 4,000 people live there. There are more sheep than humans. Yet this isolated place became the center of one of the most dramatic wars of the 20th century. More than 900 people died, fighting over land that many people around the world had never even heard of. Even today, over 40 years later, the dispute remains unresolved. Why do Britain and Argentina both claim ownership of the Falkland Islands? How did a tiny territory become one of the world's longest-running sovereignty disputes? This is the incredible story of the Falkland Islands. Why are these windswept islands called the Falkland Islands? The answer begins more than 330 years ago, long before modern maps, international disputes, or the 1982 war. In 1690, English navigator Captain John Strong became the first recorded European to land on the islands. As his ship sailed through the narrow channel separating the two largest islands, he named the waterway Falkland Sound. But who or what was Falkland? The name did not originate from the islands themselves. Instead, Captain Strong chose the name to honor Anthony Carey, the 5th Viscount Falkland, an English nobleman who had supported the expedition. The title Viscount Falkland traces its roots to the town of Falkland in Fife, Scotland. As decades passed, cartographers gradually extended the name from the channel to the entire archipelago. What was once simply Falkland Sound eventually became known around the world as the Falkland Islands. However, this remote archipelago carries another historic name, Islas Malvinas. In 1764, French settlers from the port city of St. Malo established a settlement on the islands. They called them Îles Malouines, meaning the islands of the people from St. Malo. When Spain later took control of the French settlement, the name evolved into the Spanish Islas Malvinas, a name that Argentina continues to use today. Today, these islands are known by two different names, each reflecting a different chapter of history. Falkland Islands represents the English naming tradition, dating back to John Strong's voyage in 1690, while Islas Malvinas reflects the French and Spanish heritage that followed. The names themselves tell a fascinating story of exploration, navigation, colonial history, and competing historical perspectives, long before the islands became the focus of one of the world's most well-known sovereignty disputes. The Falkland Islands are located about 480 kilometers, or 300 miles, east of Argentina's southern coast in the South Atlantic Ocean. The territory consists of two large islands, East Falkland and West Falkland, along with more than 700 smaller islands. The climate is cold, windy, and unpredictable. Trees are almost non-existent, but the islands are home to penguins, sea lions, dolphins, whales, and millions of seabirds. Today, the population is around 3,700 people. Most residents are British citizens, speak English, and have lived on the islands for generations. Fishing is the largest industry, followed by tourism, sheep farming, and government services. Although the islands appear isolated, their location gives them strategic importance in the South Atlantic and near shipping routes to Antarctica. By the early 1980s, Argentina was ruled by a military dictatorship. The country faced economic problems, rising inflation, and growing public protests. The military government believed reclaiming the Falkland Islands would unite the nation and strengthen support for the regime. On April 2nd, 1982, Argentine forces landed on the Falkland Islands and quickly took control. The small British military presence surrendered. News of the invasion shocked Britain. Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher immediately announced that Britain would send a naval task force to retake the islands. It was one of the longest military deployments in British history. More than 100 ships and thousands of troops traveled nearly 8,000 miles across the Atlantic Ocean. The world watched as two nations prepared for war. The Falklands War officially lasted 74 days. It involved fierce naval battles, air attacks, and ground combat. One of the biggest moments came when an Argentine Exocet missile struck the British destroyer HMS Sheffield, causing it to sink days later. Britain also sank the Argentine cruiser ARA General Belgrano, one of the war's most controversial incidents. As British troops landed on the islands, difficult battles followed at Goose Green, Mount Longdon, Mount Harriet, and Mount Tumbledown. The freezing weather, rocky terrain, and constant winds made every battle even more dangerous. On June 14, 1982, Argentine forces surrendered. Britain had regained control of the Falkland Islands. By the end of the war, approximately 649 Argentine military personnel, 255 British military personnel, and 3 Falkland Island civilians had lost their lives. The war had major political consequences. In Britain, the victory greatly increased Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher's popularity and helped her win the 1983 general election. In Argentina, defeat weakened the military government, which collapsed soon afterward. The country returned to democratic rule. Britain significantly increased its military presence on the islands to prevent another invasion. Meanwhile, Argentina continued to claim sovereignty through diplomatic efforts rather than military action. In 2013, the Falkland Islanders held a referendum. Nearly every voter chose to remain a British overseas territory. Britain says this reflects the islanders' right to self-determination. Argentina argues that the sovereignty dispute should still be resolved through negotiations. Today, the Falkland Islands remain peaceful. Penguins outnumber people. Tourists visit to experience incredible wildlife and breathtaking landscapes. But beneath that peaceful surface lies a dispute that has lasted for generations. For Britain, the issue is about protecting the wishes of the islanders. For Argentina, it is about history, geography, and national identity. Neither country has abandoned its claim. The Falkland Islands remind us that even the smallest places on Earth can shape world history. Sometimes, a tiny group of islands can become the center of global politics, war, and diplomacy. The question remains, will Britain and Argentina ever reach a lasting agreement? Or will the Falkland Islands remain one of the world's most enduring territorial disputes? If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more fascinating stories from around the world.